What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics. Today we got another reaction to Santana. Their album Amigos, brought to us by a friend, longtime supporter, and patron of the channel, Trucker Kev. Thank you, Trucker Kev. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out that Patreon link below or the patron link on the end screen. All right, I've done a couple Santana full album reactions. We did Santana 3 last year, and I did Abraxas. This doesn't seem possible, but I looked it up. It was a full 3 years ago that Kev brought that one, but both really good albums. So Kev knows a lot about music. Obviously, he knows a lot about this album, or he wouldn't bring it. So here's his words on this. He said, by the time the middle of the decade rolled around for Santana, gone, of course, was the original founding member, Gregg Rolie, and Neal Schon, who only hung around for 2 albums and obviously went on to Journey. The end of the hard rock phase and the Latin rock sound, and the slow foray into jazz fusion and some Latin-style jazz with the 1972 Caravanserai, a great album, but definitely a change in direction. By 1975, Carlos and the incarnation that he had would be firmly planted. More jazz fusion, Latin jazz, with a total of 3 more albums under his belt in the style. 1973, Lotus. 1974, Welcome, and Borboleto. Now, the interesting thing, 1975 year would be nothing, yet 2 in 74 and 2 in 77 the following year. But here we have the last album to feature original bass player David Brown. He would come back again for a few albums later on. Also a member of the band who was with Carlos for quite a while, great keyboardist Tom Koester, who also brings along the legendary ARP Odyssey and ARP Art Ensemble, which makes it sound like an orchestra. All one has to do is look up the ARP Odyssey to find out who used it and how influential it became. And I did that, and there's a lot of history behind it. But fantastic instrument through the years. Why it's not used too much anymore, it's hard to tell. Part of it, I think, is analog, although analog's made somewhat of a comeback. And I think when the digital stuff came along, it kind of pushed that out. This is a fantastic album to me, and one I really redeveloped a great liking for about 5 or 6 years ago. This, of course, is the album that contains the now legendary amazing guitar performance of Europa, Earth's Cry, Heaven's Smile, cited by some people as one of the best instrumentals of the 70s and one of Carlos's best compositions that he has done. Also on board here would be a new lead singer, Big Greg Walker, who would be around for a little while for a few albums also. There are a few extended songs on here and only 7 tracks total. But like any great Santana album, the opening sets the mood and the vibe right away. And here we have some amazing Latin rock and vibes filled with just a little bit of fusion thrown in of Dance, Sister, Dance. Not going into detail on every single song. Once again, this one, there is no favorites. It's only 7 tracks, and they're just solid to me. I go ahead and give his rating away. His rating is an 8.75. He said the period of Santana from 1974 Welcome to 1978 Inner Secrets. A lot of people don't really have a lot of the discography unless you're a real diehard fan. But many people who discovered this album just by the reviews on Amazon and other places are really pleased with how great of an album it is. Really good breakdown by Kev. I hardly have anything, just a little review. 7th studio album by Santana, released in 76. First album to hit the top 10 on the Billboard charts since what he had mentioned earlier, Caravanserai in 1972. 10 in the US, 9 in Canada, 13 in the UK, and 9 in Australia. So a real global reach for Santana on this one. All right, if you've never been listening before, the music won't be in the video, but it will be at a Vimeo link below. So click on that link and follow along with us to get all of the music. And you got to do that for Santana, right? Let's start this one out with Dance, Sister Dance, in parentheses, Baila Mi Hermana. I don't have much on this album. There's not much out there. This one's written by Leon Chancellor, Tom Koester, or Koster. It's probably Koster, Tom Koester, and David Rubinson. All right. I'm going to have the lyrics up as always, although 2 of them don't have lyrics. Thanks again, Kev. All right, Dance, Sister Dance. Just a great jam, right? Extended instrumental at the end and at the beginning. That great world music, Latin feel to it. You can have all kinds of instruments on this album, you know, everything, especially on the percussion side. That Carlos is going to play a lot of that, but I mean, the guitar work is top flight. But enjoyed the vocals, enjoyed the backing on it, right? The female backing on it just kind of brought this song alive, man. It's just a jam, man. You can see yourself, you know, at a get together, everybody just kind of swaying and dancing this thing. So great way to start this off. Now we'll go to Take Me With You, an instrumental written again by Leon and Tom. Take Me With You, just a great vibe, right? Carlos's guitar is really singing to us there, but it more dialed back at times, but you just really, like that guitar, that instrument, man, is coming alive. So, yeah, I really dug that one. Now we're going to get to the last song on side 1 already, which is crazy. Let Me, written by Tom and Carlos on this one. Let Me. The standout on there was actually David Brown, the bassist. That's one thing I like about Carlos. I realize it's a band, but I mean, it's got his name, and he's obviously got the heaviest influence on it. He came in there at the end hot on the guitar, but I think that the bass work was absolutely put on showcase here from David, and also the back end again. Let me take you by the hand. What you need is what you want. It's very catchy. Very catchy. It goes on. Good way to finish out this side. We'll start out side 2 with Gitano from Armando Peraza, the writer on this one. Gitano, so enjoyed that. So catchy. The percussion on this was a standout. And like I said, it was sung by Armando Peraza, but he's credited with congas, bongos, and then some background vocals on the lead vocal on this. So that's why that percussion in there is just humming, right? Because it's his song. So usually you're going to find that one is their song, right? It's just a fantastic Latin tune, man. So catchy. You don't got to know what they're singing, man. You can just feel with the vibe of the music. That's what I love about music like this. All right, got another song written by Leon and Tom. We got Tell Me, Are You Tired? All right, Tell Me, Are You Tired? And it's really just about this. It's from the female's point of view, singing to her man, like, look, you bring home the money, but I also need the other half of it. You staying home, or you getting tired of running around? Tell me, are you tired of never being here, right? So I need you here. But really good bass work here, almost like a funk and then at times R&B level here. And I think that Greg Walker had a great sound to his voice here, being able to pull that off, that smoothness to it. Also, David Brown's bass on there is fantastic. I mean, Tom's keys and the tricks he's playing with the synthesizer has been good on here. I just haven't said anything about it. Carlos, you don't have to say anything about it because he's always going to be top notch. Now we'll go to the track that Kev was talking about at the start, the highly acclaimed Europa, parentheses, Earth's Cry, Heaven's Smile. It's an instrumental written by Tom and Carlos, and it's crazy, man. There's no song on this album that even has 1 million streams except for this one. It has 80 million streams. It's one of Santana's most popular compositions, reached the top in the Spanish singles charts in July of 1976. And the 16-bar chord progression follows the circle of fifths, similar to the jazz standard Autumn Leaves. Every other verse ends with a Picardy cadence. Upon seeing a friend suffering a bad experience while high on mescaline, Santana composed a piece titled The Mushroom Lady's Coming to Town. This precursor contained the first lick to this song, Europa. The piece was put away and not touched for some time. When Santana was touring with Earth, Wind & Fire in Manchester, England, he played this tune again, this time with Tom Coaster, who helped him with some of the chords, and thus Europa was born. Several reports claim that when Carlos visited the Soviet Union in 1987, a controversy arose as some said the Armenian composer Arno Babajanian recognized the first 8 measures of the Europa when he first heard it as his own composition, Bridges, released in 1959. I don't know anything about that. I just thought if you knew that, maybe I'd bring it up. Went to 2 in Italy, 29 in the Netherlands, 6 in Switzerland, was not released in the U.S. Carlos said this to Guitar World about this song. He said, I started writing the song in 1966 or 67, so that's how long ago it was, but didn't finish until 75. We were backstage when we were touring with Earth, Wind & Fire. He's just telling the story firsthand. We were just warming up, tuning up. I started playing it, and Tom and I completed it right there on the spot. It immediately became a crowd favorite. It's one of those songs that whether it's played in Japan or Jerusalem or in South America, it just fits right in with everything. High acclaim, man. Yeah, to say that was fantastic would be an understatement. That was just tremendous. Kev said it's widely regarded as one of the best instrumentals of the 70s. I would agree with that. I'm not an authority on the instrumentals of the 70s, but I can't imagine many of them being any better than this or even on par with this. This is Carlos at his finest. Tom's, synth work on here played a big part too, especially in the beginning of it. But yeah, that song is next level. Now we'll finish this off with Let It Shine, written by David Brown and Ray Gardner. So the bassist is getting a songwriting credit on here. And this was the only single off the album released in the U.S. All right, Let It Shine. Kind of a funky, then really a gospel type song. Not a bad song. Good keyboard work on here from Tom, but probably the weakest song on this album. So released as a single, whatever, how record comes out. Not a bad song at all, but if I had to choose one, this would be my least favorite, although it's still good. And while we're on the subject of favorites, I'm kind of with Kev, man. It's a very solid album. It's hard to pick favorites. Honorable mentions, I'll go with the first song, Dance Sister Dance. My faves are going to be Take Me With You, the first instrumental on here. And then obviously Europa, Earth's Cry, Heaven's Smile are my faves. So the two instrumentals are my favorite. This whole album's really good. We'll get on to my overall score. I'm going to be at a very solid 8.25 on this. I mean, it's really good. And it's just a masterclass in musicianship. Just a very, very pleasant listen all the way through. Let me know what you think of this album down below. What are your favorite tracks? Where do you put it in Santana's catalog? As always, thanks to Trucker Kev for bringing this one. Until next time, guys, I will see you.